All right, good evening, everybody, and welcome to this October meeting of the CRA Advisory Board. Can we begin with a roll call, please?
I'll do the roll call if you don't mind, Mr. Chair. Mr. McDermott?
Here.
Mr. Aristide? Mr.
Absent.
Estime Irvin? Mr. Each?
Is she downstairs?
Mr. Each?
Right.
Mr. Reynolds?
Yep.
Ms. Cohen said that she couldn't make it. Ms. Cobo?
Right here.
Dr. Emilian?
Said he's on his way.
Okay. So, Dr. Moise?
Haven't heard back from her.
Mr. Sanchez?
Here.
Ms. Geimer?
Here.
Okay. 2, 5, 6. We have 6 present and
We
2
have-
on the way.
We know there's one downstairs, so that constitutes a quorum for us, so
Okay, it would,
7.
okay.
But we'll go ahead and begin with some administrative stuff in the beginning. So we have the roll call. Can we, everybody, with the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge of
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, can we have an approval of the minutes from our, I'm sorry.
Mr. Chair, because you don't have quorum,
Oh, yeah,
we can't do
can.
any action items.
Yeah,
We can
okay.
do,
All right, let's, where was Mary? Downstairs?
I thought it was Judge, you read.
Okay.
we can go
we're
through
gonna
the
start-
Executive Director's report, if you don't mind, Mr. Chair.
Don't we want to start with the budget presentation first?
Can't vote on that either.
Well, we can't either, but,
Though,
all right, let's go ahead with the, go ahead.
okay, several things since the last time that, okay, here we go. Matt, we were able to finalize our annual report for fiscal year 13-14. By law, we were supposed to have it posted and presented to the county and the state by the end of March. This year, unfortunately, we had to play catch up a little bit, and also our audit was a little bit delayed, and so we were finally able to transmit it this month. We've advertised it. There are copies in your package. It is a very simple annual report for this year because it was pretty much, it encompasses us, reorganizing the CRA.
Please note that Mary Estime Irvin is here.
Okay,
Welcome,
great.
Mary.
Hello.
Hi, Mary.
Okay, so we have quorum for sure. Okay, just to go back to finish up the report, we reorganized the CRA. We saved about $200,000 in reorganizing it and internalizing some of the systems. Our financial statements are attached as well to show our assets and liability. We have been working very diligently with our consultants and the county to negotiate an extension of the CRA past the October 1st, 2016 deadline. So that's pretty much what the report is showing for the fiscal year 13-14. And as you recall, when staff took over, it was the year had pretty much ended when we took over 2 months before the fiscal year ended. So this is just a basic report. We expect that the annual report will be on time, March, as required by law, and we will make sure that all our submissions are done timely in the future. Okay. The next item is the FRA conference. The Florida Redevelopment Association holds its annual conference. Last year it was in Miami at the, what is it called now? The Omni or the Renaissance? The Hilton.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Something. And so this year they're having it in Tampa. Staff will be attending because they will be talking about, apart from wonderful redevelopment opportunities and ideas, but they're also talking about housing in the sense of not just affordable housing, but mixed income housing. So when we are looking at redeveloping the CRA areas, not to just focus only on affordable housing because it doesn't really help the tax base, that we need to focus on mixed income housing. So that's a very important conference that we will be attending, and I think a couple of the council people will be attending as well. Okay. Redevelopment Management Associates Consultants have been working diligently, like I had said before, with us and the county. Very important, we have a community workshop Monday the 12th. I know it's Columbus Day. Some people are off and some people hopefully are not, but it's 6 o'clock at the Gwendolyn Gwen Margolis Center. It's at 6 o'clock, and this is where RMA will be presenting the proposed plan updates for the CRA. There, we will present what we've gathered so far and what we're gonna present to the county, but there is where we need the input from the community, from the advisory board members, as to what are the issues that we should be focusing on. What
date
they've
is that
done,
again?
Monday, October 12th.
It's right on your sheet.
Is that
And also
different
there's a flyer.
than the presentation that was given about a month ago?
The presentation we did a month ago was for the CRA board and the advisory board, just to give you a preliminary of what we were doing and where we're moving, and to give you the 3 project ideas that we were focusing on. This, by law, we have to have an advertised community workshop to hear from the community what they feel are additional things that we should be focusing on. It will be an opportunity for us to refresh everybody as to what it is that we need to do to pass, get past the extension deadline, and to prioritize what the focus is going to be. For instance, we will hear, I've already heard, we need more focus on first-time home buying, or we need focus on rehab for single-family rehab, or we need merchant assistance. If we're bringing new businesses here, the existing businesses that are suffering, how can we assist them to improve as well, so that their business can also improve as we're bringing new businesses in and improving our tax base. I can give you a perfect example. They do it in West Palm Beach. You bring in a new restaurant, you bring in a new, let's say, chocolate and wine shop, and the restaurant next door is struggling. It could be because they need some consulting in just hospitality management on how to, redo their menus, or how to redo their prices, or how to fix themselves up so they can be as competitive and also benefit from the redevelopment. So those are the things that we're gonna look to hear from the community on Monday the 12th. So right after that, we're gonna meet with the county again to go over what we've gotten, to make sure we're on the same page. We've already met with Chair Monesteem, given him an update as to where we are, and he seems to be satisfied so far. As soon as we finalize what the needs are, this is how we can determine how much we will need in TIF revenues for the next 20 years. Which means, if we need new sidewalks in all the residential areas, new infrastructure, new sewer and all that stuff, we have a long list with prices, and this is our 20-year plan. We know, okay, it's a $200 million project, so we know that whatever our TIF plan moving forward will be, is we need to make sure that we're at the $200 million mark for the next 20 years. And then we will present the plan to you and to the CRA board to approve, and we anticipate submitting it to the county in December for review, and 3 months from now, they will present it to the board for approval. So if all goes well, that's the timeline that we're looking at.
And also, as long as we pass, our comp plan.
Yes. The comp plan, the way we are tied to it, I mean, even though our plan, the way we're doing it is, if we do it, it'll, whether we do it or not, we will be okay. We won't be out of compliance. The issue is, if the comp plan is not passed, any redevelopment idea or project we would like to have happen on the west side, it will be very difficult because you can't pass any zoning changes.
Correct.
So if we're proposing to do a train station at a certain height, and that'll definitely increase the TIF and help us boost the west side, and the comp plan doesn't get passed, then the developer will not be interested, because it doesn't make there's no incentive for him to come here. So that's where we are, linked to the comp plan.
Right.
We've talked about, one of the issues in the extension of the CRA, and what I thought they explained to us that the county wanted was some major projects, some major brick and mortar projects. Are we still on track with some of those, or what are we proposing?
Whatever you had, that the committee, the city, the board had approved in the downtown redevelopment master plan is what we are using. And I think maybe the consultant needs to come, when he comes on October 12th, he'll explain a little bit more. He's crunched the numbers. What we presented at the last workshop gave you a preliminary idea. So far, the train station is the one that'll give us the most amount of TIF, the most amount of interest and investment. And because it is tied to a real timeline, meaning it's coming, whether we do something, to take advantage of it or not, it's coming. So it's us not passing the comp plan, it's us not having the incentives ready for the developer to come, which will block it. And this is something that the county is very interested in. They want us to do a train station.
Where is this train station supposed to go, do you know, or just approximately?
Based on the downtown master plan, the South Florida Transportation Authority had said it would be where the 125th Street, the train tracks, east of it. So it's like a tire shop or
Right by
a
Powell.
repair
Right.
shop.
Right in
This
that
is where
area.
they're envisioning that area. Again, when I talked
That's
to
west of it, though. That's
no,
not
it's
east
east.
of it, right?
It's
So, but
east.
east of the railroad tracks on Arch Creek Road.
Okay.
Is
If you
that's
say
what
that
we're
it is.
looking
It's
at,
125th Street.
It's 125th Street
It's 123rd,
and
rather.
the east of the train tracks to that would be like the northeast corner.
Northeast corner.
That's where they're looking at. Yeah.
That
So
old tire store auto shop? Yeah.
yes.
Who?
Now, this
Okay.
is what the South Florida Transportation Authority has proposed in their plan, and the reason why they did it is because they said that, Johnson and Wales and those people were really interested in it. They didn't get any interest from anybody else, and that's why they came up with this plan. It doesn't tie us to it. I mean, at the end of the day, we can do all four corners. The idea is the developer that will be interested and who's gonna be buying it, that's
Well,
the
I know,
one.
on the planning commission, they call it the Transportation Overlay District.
Mhm.
And I kind of like the terminology of a compact urban center like you had down at Doral.
Mhm.
And that's why I had suggested between 123rd Street and Arch Creek Road, the boundary of the tracks, we start rezoning everything over there, and we go high with it. We have, you just mentioned before on your dissertation about mixed income housing, and when you have affordable housing, that's great. But on top of affordable housing, you need high-end housing to have disposable income.
Mhm.
We have a lot of affordable housing.
Well,
But we have
that is very true.
sufficient- Right, but we need high-end housing, that's why I had suggested that we go 30 stories in that area.
Most of the neighborhoods in North Miami are affordable housing. They come within those guidelines.
And I
So
often,
we don't,
I have said this time and time again, I'd rather have a wealthy city helping poor people than a poor city helping nobody. And if we don't have that development, we're headed for that.
Exactly. And just to say, when you do an affordable housing, there's so many tax credits and so on and so forth. There is no tax base. The mission of the CRA is two things: remove slum and blight, and increase your TIF, your tax
That's
base.
right, and we're not gonna go-
So if you keep doing only affordable housing,
Exactly.
you don't have a tax base to
Exactly.
rely on to support the additional
And-
services that will be needed.
Right.
For the last 4 years, all we have gotten for the planning commission is affordable housing.
Mhm.
No developers coming. We have to change that mentality.
What is the date on when we expect service to begin? Yeah, it keeps moving around.
Service?
The train service.
That I can find out, but I know it's
Of
not in like
19,
18,
21,
19, because
20, 21?
remember the Orlando one is happening before,
Right,
right? All Aboard
right.
Florida is happening before
Right,
the
right,
Tri-Rail.
right.
So,
when is this coming?
I'm sorry?
What year?
No, I think it's like 18, 19, because All Aboard Florida has to come first before the Tri-Rail. So we're not,
All Aboard Florida is supposed to begin next year.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. So the
I
Tri-Rail,
thought you said 18, 19, I would.
2018,
2019.
2019. Sorry.
I think it's a great project.
I
That's
think
what
in-
happens when you.
Yeah,
I think
looking
it's
at
the
stuff.
most important project we can do.
And it's the one that'll give you the most bang for your buck and show to the county and everybody else that we're serious and we're moving ahead. So,
Just a little side note on this.
mhm,
We had, a lot of people don't know this, but when I came here in 1970, the FEC had a railroad station on the other side of Arch Creek, on the other side of Emerald Lake, which became a driver's license bureau.
Right.
And that was a railroad station, and people used to come down from up north, disembark, and
Right. Yeah,
yeah.
I remember that.
We should have a
Mr. Chair,
history section.
Okay, Roger.
Now that we have quorum,
Hold on a second, did you have something else to say? Oh, okay. All right, that completes your report? So we
Yes.
can go back to, now
one,
that we have a quorum, we
And-
can go back to approval of the minutes.
yes, but before you get to that point, Mr. Chair, the deputy city manager, wished to remove agenda item number 3 from the agenda. And
Approval
he
of
has
the
stepped
minutes?
away. No,
Oh,
agenda item number 3, request for additional, no, I'm sorry. Item number 2, approval of matching grant funds of $125,500 for Griffin Park.
Okay.
This is going to be pulled and
Okay.
presented at a later date.
All right, can we have an approval for the minutes of June 15th?
The first page.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right, agenda item 1.
Budget. Okay. Here we go, here we go. This year, the CRA has been very fortunate. Our tax increment has increased tremendously. On the county side, it went up to $868,000 from $233 from the previous fiscal year. And on the city side, it's $1.868 million. So we have been very fortunate, and now we're benefiting from the various construction booms. The only thing I want to point out again and maybe to Ms. Geimer, who's new, our agreement with the county is that we collect, the whole city collects the whole portion of the CRA, which is 60% of North Miami. The county, let me rephrase, because my head just disappeared. We have to reimburse the county the west side of the CRA. So there's a line item at the bottom, and we haven't reimbursed them in a while for $478,000, and that is the county portion of the west side TIF. Because we keep the Biscayne Landing, we keep the east side, and we
Right.
reimburse them the west side. And the west side for this year is $478,000 that we will have to reimburse the county. Okay?
We're keeping a complete TIF up at Solomia.
Yes.
Yes.
How
Okay.
much of this increase came from Solomie, do you think? Or was it, and how much came from just increased property values in the city? Just
I
ballpark.
don't think the values in the city went up by much.
The values of the city went up by about 8%. We had a millage rate of 7.9336,
Right,
and with that, we had about 800,000 that was in addition. Divvying up, if it was by district, we don't have those figures, but the bottom line is, we have more to
We have
Yeah, we don't get it broken down like that. I would assume some of it is from Solomia, the majority of it.
but there wasn't a lot of construction over there, was
There
there?
wasn't a lot of construction, but it's still some work.
Well, that
They wouldn't
land
hit
that
the
broke
road
off,
yet.
that was sold,
No, it hasn't been officially sold yet.
Oh,
So
okay.
it's
The
not
official
on the-
sale doesn't close until the end of this month.
Okay, so that will be some additional money, right, from that?
Not this year,
Yeah.
but next year.
Next
Next
fiscal
year's
year.
budget.
Right,
Put it
okay,
in next year's tax roll.
Yeah.
okay.
Okay. Our carryover for this year is 1.425. It is high because last year we had budgeted about $1 million for the parking garage design and a P3 project, which we didn't do since we've been mainly focusing on getting the CRA extended. So that's why we have that big carryover. The $425,000 are for projects that were approved last year, but we did not encumber them in time, so that's why I'm carrying it forward, which is, for instance, the Northeast 124th Street streetscape parking garage that we're putting in for the new department store that's opening. We are now gonna be doing our portion, so that's the expense that's showing there. We were supposed to do the wrapping of the utility boxes, and so we've been working with the Mocha Museum with the director, Baba Karambo. He did an RFP, he got some artists to give us some designs and so on. So the process took a little bit longer than we expected. So that's why that $425,000 is there as a carryover, but it's pretty much, it's not really there because it's gonna be spent. For the expense, for the year, we're budgeted at $4.171 million. Our expenditures are if you're following the spreadsheet, are as follows. We are maintaining the same staffing as we are doing now. We are maintaining the same accounting and audit and finance support that we had before. The advertising and notices is going up a little because, we have to do a lot of noticing as we go through the process with the CRA plan, and we need to do a little bit more than just the basic. So we upped that a little. Support services, again, covers IT support for us. They do the minutes for us, they maintain our website, and so on and so forth. If you look under the part that says a subtotal administrative expenses, you can see that there. Right under it, it says county administrative charge at 1.5%, that's $13,000. That's pretty much $10,000 more than last year, and that's because, again, they're giving us more money this year. So their administrative costs went up. It's 1.5% of that, that we will have to pay them in March. Moving forward, the expenses, again, if you focus, you'll see that we haven't really changed much. Now, what we've spent money on now is marketing and promotions. The deputy city manager has put in more money in marketing and promotions for more community outreach, more articles in all the various newspapers, radio stations, and TV stations, so people can have a clear understanding of what it is that we're doing and how we're doing it. So that line item went up to $25,000.
The difference in the employee salary.
Oh, I'm gonna explain that when I get to that point. Thank you for catching. No, I didn't. Conferences and meetings, then you have legal services, which is pretty much Mr. Steven Zelkowitz, Gray Robinson, for his time during the meetings and the grants and so on and so forth, which has been the same. Under professional services, before, I used to be listed as a consultant under that line item, and they've just moved my 30,000 fee on top because they are deducting the FICA MICA for me. So I don't have to deal with that as a consultant anymore. So that's the only thing that I did. However, the consultant professional services line item went up because we've included 2 additional expenses. One is we need to hire a designer for the train station area. I mean, we've done the downtown redevelopment master plan and so on and so forth, but we do not have a master plan for the train station. We don't have a master plan for the West Dixie corridor nor the 7th Avenue corridor. So we have set aside funds for that, and also we need to focus on a proper branding and marketing strategy as to, it's not just the logo, it's not just the message, it's everything. And at the end of the day, the way they tell you is, once your branding and marketing is done properly, our job will just be answering phone calls from people asking to, for space and how they can come into the downtown area, how they can come into the North Miami area. So this year, this is what we're focusing on to get our message professionally done, the marketing materials, the collateral materials for the developers and for the end users, for the businesses that are wanting to come here, so they can have a clear and great message moving forward. We've increased the commercial incentives program to $600,000. This is for beautification, this is for rehab, and any other incentive programs that we deem, that we create through the new CRA plan. That's why we have it there. The carryover fund that you see here for $6,500 is El Kiosco, Mr. Balcero. He is in the process of finalizing everything, so as we had discussed, we were giving him the chance, so I left the line item there for him. Hopefully it will be done this year.
Hopefully.
Under capital projects and infrastructure, you have $500,000, which is pretty much just, as soon as the county gives us the unofficial green light that we can move forward, that'll be the funds used for design, RFP, whatever it is that we need to do to get, or even to buy a property if it's necessary, whatever it is that we need to do to start working on the capital project. So that's what that is. The sewer model update, that's $120,000. What it is that the city of North Miami has to update their sewer model as per county regulations, which they haven't done in a while. When developers come here, they need that so they can calculate everything that they need to do and to see what the use will be. And right now, it would be an additional cost to the developer to pay for it. So the sewer model update is actually a $200,000 expense, but because the CRA covers 60% of the city, we are covering only 60% of the cost of that to, mitigate the cost and get the sewer model update done so that when developers start coming, they don't have to pay that additional cost.
So let me, the other 40% is being paid out of
The city,
enterprise funds?
Yeah.
the sewer model update.
The sewer model update.
Well, that's just one portion of it that we're gonna do right now, and the rest will be paid
We're
by the
covering
city.
60%.
The
Yes.
CRAs.
And how much is the total cost, do we know?
200, that's how much it costs. It's $200,000.
Is that our cost?
No,
That's the total?
The
I know
total.
We're covering just 60% of this?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
yes. Okay, let me keep going down. Okay, as per our downtown master plan, what we've done is again, this is an investment that we made when we did the downtown master plan. It has a timeline, it has a list of infrastructure improvements that we needed to focus on. So we use that as the blueprint for the next fiscal years. So part of that is the West Dixie Green Trail, which, if you look at your narrative, is item number 1 under downtown master plan infrastructure improvements. You will see it listed, and I have before and after pictures. These are projects that was approved by the committee, the board who approved the downtown redevelopment master plan as infrastructure items that we needed to do to enhance our downtown, to make it a better, beautiful place for people to come, live, and play. So the West Dixie Green Trail is one of them, and it's $234,438. It's a trail beginning at Northeast 125th Street and West Dixie to Griffin Park, and it's to do landscaping, pedestrian amenities, and so on and so forth, as per the downtown master plan. Okay? Yes, to Griffin Park. It's supposed to be a pedestrian. I can't tell you. It'll probably start on the other side.
It's on the south side of 125th. Yeah, what a little thing is.
Yeah, it says create a linear pathway from 125th Street to Griffin Park. Well, yeah, but that's.
No.
You're gonna have to move the road to do that, right? You're gonna have to reconfigure it in order to have the space.
The space?
No, I don't think we're gonna.
No. It's already, it was actually done. Everything will be the same. It'll be really the swell areas.
I
It's
see.
fixed up, and then we'll probably wind up doing some type of decorative paving or something on the
I see.
road there.
Okay,
The
I got it.
crosswalks.
Here they're gonna build an overpass, like the high line in New York City. That's what they're gonna do.
So we're gonna
Okay.
turn all of it.
The next item is the downtown improvements, the Mocha Plaza, and also a Mocha Museum facelift, which is pretty much beautification, and it's painting, pavers, the bollards, new lighting. And again, on the following page of the narrative, you have the list of what my predecessors had approved for the downtown area, like what the crosswalks will look like, what the bollards are supposed to look like, the trash cans, and so on and so forth. So we're just following, again, what was presented and approved, and it had a timeline, and we're making sure now that we're following it, So, moving forward. $104,000 for the 132nd Street fountain improvements. $75,000, then we're spending about $781,000 in parks improvements.
Did you have 132nd and Dixie, is that the one?
Yes,
Okay,
it's
that-
called the Iron, is that the
That was an on-
Iron Mountain Manor
Yeah,
Fountain?
That was an on, okay, good.
Okay. And then we're spending about $781,000 in parks renovation for, improvements, redesign of facade, renovation of playground areas, ADA accessibility, shade covering, shelters, lighting, and landscape. And it's Sunkiss Grove for $75,000, Oleander Park renovations for $250,000, the Thomas Sasso Pool facade beautification, and we will be doing the exterior part of it. We're not gonna be able to do the inside because the city's already taking care of the inside renovations of Thomas Sasso Pool. Griffin Park Estates, there are 3 pocket parks at that area. There's only one of them that is in the CRA. So when you look at the map, there's only one of those pocket parks that's in the CRA. So that's why it's $20,000. It may seem low, but
Only one park.
it's that one little pocket park that's in the CRA that we can touch.
Right.
Okay. The Griffin Park Dog Park, it's a matching grant that we would be working with the city. It's $125,500, and a splash pad and pavilion, Pepper Park, for $250,000.
That's gonna be on the west side behind JCC. Yeah, we'll talk about that.
Yeah, these are parks that I was
Just
told
us,
were
the
very
community center,
blighted and needed
the
a
west side of
facelift so
it.
that families and people can use it and participate. Well, no, I'm talking about these parks that are listed, the ones that are listed here. They're either lacking in lighting, in ADA, or,
We're gonna do a whole, concept at Oleander. We're actually gonna have some kind of probably call for proposals, or the Parks and Recreation Beautification Board, Parks and Rec Board is gonna come up with some ideas. It'll be something that, limits the maintenance, but some lighting just to make it a passive park. It won't be anything for recreational play or organized activities. So we're trying to come up with an idea that, will make it where people even, just somewhere for people to go out and walk their dogs, but it'll be something that really beautifies. We were over there recently and it looks pretty bad. So, yeah, so we're gonna take down the fences, the gate and fences all around. We're gonna take that down and just beautify the area. Maybe put some lighting in there, maybe a couple benches. We're still undecided on exactly what we're gonna do, but definitely some landscaping. For $250,000, it's gonna look a lot different. A lot different. So. And that's what we're there to do, is for slum and blight. So that's gonna be a major project for us.
okay. The next item is the county TIF refund that I mentioned. We will need to reimburse them $478,000 for the west side. Then under reserve and contingency, that's item D in the spreadsheet, it's $124,950. That I have it set aside, because we've talked about hiring full-time staff, a full-time director, coordinator, and administrator, but until we really know that the CRA will be extended, it makes no sense to actually budget for it. So we have that line item set for somebody to full-time as of January. Once we hear from the county that unofficially that, we're a go, then we will need to hire somebody full-time to actually implement the plan, finalize the negotiations, and moving forward. Okay, so that's what I have there.
As much as we love you guys, the end is near.
What?
So as much as we love you guys, the end is near.
Not
We'll be
nice.
with you guys for probably another 4 months, 4 or 5 months, and then we'll be hiring somebody to run the CRA, a real CRA director. So I'm doing a pretty good imposter job. But
Yeah, you're doing a great job. You're doing a great job.
But, Mr. Assistant City Manager, when will we be sure that this is going through?
Well, the plan is gonna be submitted on December. Once the plan is submitted, it's gonna take a couple months, but we've been doing all of our legwork. We've been meeting with the county. We've had several conversations. I'm confident that it's gonna be extended. It's not gonna be an issue. But we'll have to, as the time gets close, when it's time for the decision to be made, we'll have to start putting things in place to show that we're gonna be ready and we're serious about running the CRA. We've done the cleanup right now, and we have shown that we're serious, but you're gonna need, with the amount of money that will be expected to come in from TIF moving forward, you're gonna need a full-time staff to run your CRA.
Yeah, I mean, if you're looking at about, let's say, $200 million worth of projects over 20 years to do, you are gonna need, proper staffing to make sure that these projects are aligned with the plan. And any arrangements that we make with the county, even if they give it, I know we were saying we're gonna ask for like 29 years and so on, they're gonna expect us to, like, every 5 years to do an update, a refresher, and so on and so forth. So you will need somebody full-time and experienced that'll pay attention to those things to make sure that we are still on point. So that's what we have there. So your total budget is $4.171 million. You will be spending $2.5 million in infrastructure capital improvement projects this year.
Let me ask you a question with regards to the staff and the new director. Now, are you still gonna be supporting him with, or her, with the city staff? Or are we gonna have that bloated staff like we had?
No, it won't be, initially it won't be bloated. Pretty much I'll be probably stepping out of the equation myself.
Okay.
But I anticipate Terry, continuing to work. Probably Rasha will continue to work, and then we'll have a full-time director that does it, but.
I mean, okay, so you
But we
have
will
a
have
full-time
staff
director,
support.
but you guys will still be
Yeah.
good,
Yeah,
okay.
they'll still
All
be,
right.
But by the way,
I
has
think you guys have been doing a great job, that's why
Excellent.
I hate to see you.
Somebody all brand new.
Really, I mean that, I say
Yeah.
it very sincerely, I think
Yeah.
you guys really did a bang-up job.
agreed. by the way, for those who don't know, I think everybody's met Rasha Kamu, I think. But probably everybody doesn't know Terry Henley. So Terry has sort of moved into a new role, am I
Yes.
correct?
Yeah, Terry right now is the Assistant Budget Director. That's his official title now. There's no budget director on staff anymore, but his title is Assistant Budget Director, and he'll be working with finance to do stuff. And
So,
he's probably gonna be, as of next week, he'll be your interim CRA coordinator moving forward.
okay.
As,
Welcome, Terry.
Thank
My
you.
title will
Welcome,
be changed, I
welcome.
guess, to the interim executive director of the CRA.
Oh, okay. Whatever. Well, you guys are doing a great job, so, you know. Is that it, Rasha?
Yeah, if you don't have any more questions, can
Anybody
you
have any
vote
questions?
to recommend?
I think this was a nice presentation,
Mhm.
and I think the format was very, very clear and understandable.
And concise.
And concise, and I applaud you,
Mhm.
because, you know, it's very hard to make things simple. It's very easy to make them very complicated.
Yes, and I think at
And I
one
think
point.
that's, I really, really appreciate it,
At one
I
point,
commend you.
one point in time in our history, I think we got papered to death.
well, we had a
You know, so, anyway, this is concise and simple, and we appreciate that. Do we have a motion to
Recommend.
Motion
to approve the,
Yeah, I motion
budget?
to recommend and approve the budget.
we have a second, any other discussion? All in favor?
All right.
Aye, okay. All right.
Okay.
Can we move on to, I guess, agenda item 3,
Yes.
which is additional funds for
Captain
Captain
Jim's.
Jim.
That's at West Dixie Highway Enterprises LLC. Miss Reagan Hansen is here. We had given her a grant for $57,663 last September. Due to several challenges out of her control, the contractor she hired apparently did not have experience in commercial work. And so, and since he was the lowest bidder, that's what happens. Somebody will always underbid and then come to find out
Right.
they couldn't do the work. So you've seen the storefront already. You've seen that they've done some work, but the contractor had to be terminated. She's already gotten a $20,000 refund from her $35,000 deposit that she had made. And now that she's put out the bids again to do the work, all the bids came out higher than what was originally proposed. So she's here to request an additional grant of $22,336.50, which would actually put her at the $80,000
Okay.
cap.
Can you recap for us real quickly what the project is gonna encompass?
Well, similar to what it was before, but I'm redoing the storefronts with impact windows and the soffit and lighting, and the front walk is going to be redone, so, and painting the entire building, so it'll be completely, it'll be really beautiful when it's done, if we can ever get it done.
Does anybody have any questions?
What happened with the first contract? You recouped the money? I wasn't clear on that.
Well, I've got 20, and he's supposedly going to return, there's 15 out there, but we'll see what he returns. I don't know what's,
I'm
I'm
sorry,
sure
I'm
he'll-
losing you. How much was out there?
I gave him 35,000.
Okay,
He's
and that was CRA
returned
funds,
20.
or was that a combination of?
No, that was all mine,
Oh, your money, okay.
yes. And then the 15,000, I'm still waiting. He's calculating bills, and I don't know if he'll try to keep it or return some of it, but I'm lucky to get the 20, I think.
How much of that was CRA funds, or was it?
No, because
None,
nothing,
okay,
because
okay.
again, it's a reimbursement
Right.
Okay,
program.
good. Thank you.
So, but
As I get older, I get more befuddled.
Do you want to go over the second part of the
Yes,
request
yes.
before we
we
start
do make a
discussing?
decision.
Second.
Okay, so Ms. Hanson, who is the owner of the building, had done the original request for the facade and beautification and so on. Now, we have two gentlemen here as well who represent Captain Jim's Restaurant. And they wanted to apply for a CRA grant as well. They've invested about $100,000 in the rehab that they've done, and they wanted to request some funds. And as you know, the guidelines say, you have a 5-year wait for you to apply, and then also it's above the 80,000. So we are asking you, and I guess Mr. Zelkowitz will word it properly, that one, to consider the two the ask as one, meaning Ms. Hanson's request for the $22,336.50 and Captain Jim's Restaurant's request of $92,000, this time to renovate the inside. They're redoing the whole kitchen. As a result of that, they anticipate that they're gonna be able to keep the 20 employees they have. They would hire an additional 10 because it will allow them to do catering. They are gonna have outside seating, awning, and so on and so forth. So they're anticipating that their business is going to increase and expand, and they will be hiring additional people for the restaurant. So,
So just, I mean, to clarify the request, my understanding is Ms. Hanson's company owns the building.
So there's two folio numbers, actually. So actually, I'm getting 80, but I actually have two buildings there. So,
Right, but owned by the same company?
Company.
yes,
Yeah.
All right, so she's doing exterior renovations with the grant that has already been approved and with the additional money she's requesting. The restaurant is leased to a separate entity.
Right.
It's similar to, I wanna say the building where Cafe Creme is going in, you have an owner, you have a lease to a tenant. But that's the main business is within the property at this point. So in order for the property to be successful, you've got this restaurant in there that is also undergoing a renovation at the same time. So I'm not sure whether the grant is coming in under, one request, and it's all gonna go to you, and then you're going to administer the funds to the tenant, or whether the tenant's gonna have a separate grant. But in either case, this is not, dissimilar to other projects we've done in the past, so, but it is more money. It would go over the $80,000, and there'd be a waiver required from the CRA board, similar to what we did with Cafe Creme recently.
So, I have a question. So what is staff recommending?
Well, we recommend approval. Captain Jim's is an icon, and the fact that they're intending to expand and offer catering and additional services, and apart from retaining the 20 jobs, they're gonna be hiring additional people from the community. The face of the building as it is now, I mean, it's on West Dixie, you can drive by and you can see it. It's not conducive to any kind of business.
It went through he did some demolition,
Yes, he
right?
did some demolition.
It looks really awful.
But he left
yeah.
it demolished looking.
Also, is Captain Jim highly considering hiring North Miami residents, the additional 10 that
They are
they would
here.
hire?
We hire
That-
mostly.
You have to get on the
You wanna
mic.
come up to
You
the
have to come to the
microphone and identify yourself,
Sorry.
please, for the
Yes.
record?
Your name and address, please?
I'm Larry Cohen, one of the owners. You want my home or
Yep.
business, 12950 West Dixie Highway. We hire mostly residents of North Miami right now. And by doing this work, it would allow us to hopefully, most likely, expand our businesses, which we hope. Right now, our air conditioning system isn't up to par. Our kitchen needs some work in order to put out food better. We need to bring it up to certain standards so that we don't have problems with the hotel and restaurant division down the road. So what we're looking for is to expand our business, and in order to do that, we need help.
What would the grant be used for?
We're gonna be doing flooring throughout the kitchen, putting up certain stainless around the walls to keep it cleaner. We're doing air conditioning is probably one of the bigger things. The work in the kitchen and the air conditioning work is the bulk of the work. The air conditioning is to replace two of the existing units on the roof. One is a 5-ton and one's a 6-ton. And we're trying to replace them so that we don't have that extra added cost of engineering and putting in additional new type of structure and putting new holes through our ceiling, through our roof. So we're trying to retrofit and make sure that the units are replaced and with the same footprint. That, if you've been at our restaurant at all, you'll know how hot it is inside. It's unbearable at times, especially through the summer. It was unbearable, and it hurts our business, and it keeps people from coming.
Larry.
Forget the outside of the building.
Larry,
Yeah,
could
now
you,
that's a permanent, I'm sorry, we're looking at permanent fixtures. We're not
Yes.
looking at any cooking or
No.
stoves, anything that could be.
No.
Okay.
Larry, could you give us a list of, or update on some of the stuff you've done. I know you submitted
Oh,
about $103,000 worth of work you've done already.
well, so far, we've retiled the entire restaurant. That was probably the biggest cost. We've put in all kinds of new fixtures inside. We put in a sound system that was quite expensive. We put in a surveillance system inside. Geez, we did new cases, new
Display cases.
display case and fish display. We built a new display for our stone crabs and our oysters, a whole new oyster bar area and all.
I've seen it all. So.
We spent a lot of money. We've pretty much, and we cleaned it a lot. I mean, when we took over, we did a lot of cleaning, but that's neither here nor there. We cleaned up the bathrooms, and what else have we done?
And this is, again, we've been looking at projects to enhance it, to build on what we have, and staff looks at it, this is one of the projects that's in place, somebody who's in business, who is successful, and something that we can hang our CRA hat on to say, hey, we helped that business out, and that's something, a easy victory for us in moving forward.
And it's on the West Dixie Highway.
Yeah, let me.
Which I think is an important, because West Dixie is lagged behind a lot of other areas in the city. So it's important that we begin to focus on West Dixie, because it is one of the main corridors in the city, and we really haven't done a lot there.
Okay.
No, you go.
Yeah, please, thank you. I have a question with the waiver and the audit and how we being looked at. What is the process for the waiver? Will it affect any of the decisions we're making? I would like to make a motion to approve this, but I just want to know the consequences with the waiver.
The waiver is something, just to back up, this committee and the board adopted guidelines to give the particular grants to the business owners. They set a number in your guidelines. So if you go over that number, of course, the CRA board can waive that requirement and give more money, which they've done many times. I mean, perhaps the way to address this, and we're amending the plan at some point, is to go back and just look at the guidelines and maybe change the guidelines. I mean, $80,000 back when we adopted the guidelines was maybe enough, but we see a lot of business owners coming to us. We had 50 State Security, we had Polio Tropical, Cafe Creme, and now Captain Jim's, where it doesn't seem to be enough money in this market to do what needs to be done. So the waiver would be something that would be approved by the CRA board, just by a majority vote. As far as an audit issue, I mean, we have the money, it's something that we want to do.
As long as it's in the minutes and it's voted appropriately,
Right.
we're
So
following our
There
guidelines.
shouldn't be an issue.
See,
So I'd
we
like to
have-
make a motion to approve.
Well, we have to
Yeah.
approve
I
the
like-
waiver
Can I
first.
ask two questions? How much is the total, the big total, and how the money will be split among them? What is the criteria to split the money? Why you get this and why you get this?
I see this as not two grants, though. I don't think you can, I mean, I think it would be a nightmare to try to administer one grant for two different people that are doing projects. I mean, you should, personally, we have one project that's the facade. That's her business. She handles it. She presents her reimbursement, et cetera, whatever the process is. But she's not in his hair, and he's not trying to, in her hair, saying, well, why didn't you get those checks back to me, or why didn't you do this, or why didn't you do that? It's two different people and two different entities.
That's in the way I see it.
Yeah, you can't put them in each other's business.
Yeah, we.
How
I
is
mean,
staff
they're
proposing? Proposing
landlord
what?
and tenant. I mean, I know that
But
very well.
I think we still have to vote on the approval of the waiver, right? Correct, council?
Well, you all are, you can vote to advise the board to approve
Right.
the waiver,
Right.
if you'd like. If we're doing two separate grants, one to the owner of the property, they don't need a waiver. I mean, Ms. Hanson's not asking for more than $80,000.
Okay.
The tenant is asking for
92.
$92,000.
Yep.
And that would still be less than 50%, but it would be more than the $80,000, so we need a waiver for that.
Right.
Unless
the
they were
waiver for
going
the
down
5
to 80, in
years.
which case you wouldn't need a waiver.
And the waiver for the 5 years?
Right.
Yes, we would do a waiver for the 5 years like we had to do last time. I would just ask, how much, many more years is left on the lease?
Oh, we have 15 years. I
Okay,
think.
that's great. No, it's perfect. I think we have a 5-year
we-
minimum. We
Oh,
want to
no,
make sure
we-
you're there. You're
We're
going to be
we-
there.
We're there.
And my understanding is, in talking to the both applicants, one project really doesn't work without the other. I mean, this is, to make sure that the building is successful in restoring the facade and also the business that occupies the building.
Yes, it's a symbiotic arrangement.
If you want to comment, just
You have to be on the mic.
so, but I'm sorry, Mr. Reynolds, you were saying you see it as two separate?
I see it as two separate projects. I mean, they're two different corporations. They're doing different things. Yes, it is
Right.
symbiotic, but you got a tenant, you got a landlord.
Right.
I mean, I would never want to be in that position of being responsible for my tenant if they did it right or didn't do it right. And I'm sure my tenant would never want to be held responsible for whether I was doing something right.
Well,
They should be two different
I
projects.
would agree unless this was, tenant improvement funds under the lease, but I don't think it is. I think that this is two separate projects. We just want to make sure they both get done.
Okay.
And they were
Also,
comfortable with, they discussed it amongst themselves,
Right,
and they were
they're okay with that.
comfortable with it being under the one
Okay.
name.
Well, okay,
So,
well,
Unless they speak out.
Approach the microphone and name and address.
Hi, everybody. My name is Jeffrey Ross, and I'm a partner with Larry Cohn in the restaurant. And to address your concern, it's a relationship that we have that other landlords and tenants would probably be envious of, in that we've been working together for the past year and a half on a number of different issues very well, with no problems. Quite frankly, with respect to the outside of the building, we've been going back and forth on it, but it was really out of Reagan's hands. It had to do with, unfortunately, the choice of a contractor that was less than forthright and didn't have the integrity to do the right thing. So, I don't think that Larry Cohen and I have a problem with us being together in this, because it really is symbiotic. And one does really work well within the other. I don't know if Reagan has any problem with it. I guess she'll tell you. But it's a unique situation. And I think that it has to be looked at that way.
Well, first, we need a motion to grant the waiver.
but so is would that, if you did it under one, you would just do it under her corporation, period? Well, I
Well,
don't
we
see
have
it that
two
way.
grants. One, the extra 20 for her.
No, but they want to do it under one, as one grant.
Excuse me, but when we first talked about doing this, we were advised that it would be advantageous in order to get the work done to come in under Reagan, because she has an active permit and is actively doing work. As it relates to the back office and how you administer to payments and what have you, it could be separate after the fact, or it could be together. For us, it doesn't matter. It would be easier if we were submitting our bills and being able to pay our contractors. We'll be paying our contractors. And you're right, we'll be paying our contractors. Reagan will not be paying our contractors.
It was a
So-
recommendation of staff for the application to be submitted together. We have an application on file right now. Again, it would make it easier for staff to track and move forward with them already being you know, in the system and in the process. So that was our recommendation for them to come in together.
And from the legal standpoint, I would concur, because my concern is, if you split it up and you go to the board, and the board approves one and not the other, then what are you gonna do? I mean, you're bringing this as one project. I mean, we can draft the amendment to the grant agreement in such a way to administer the funds and have the tenant come in with their submittal, which will be certified by the landlord, as, to come in and get their funds, and she'll submit
Okay,
her
fine.
request.
Fine with me. I just wanted to hash it out to make sure that had been thought through, because I could see big problems, but I see your relationship, and so that gives me comfort.
And I think part of it too, Mr. Reynolds, is we had a similar situation with a prior property where we had a tenant and an owner.
Oh,
And we had
yes.
issues.
Right.
So,
The ice
I
cream
think
parlor, right?
we as
Yeah.
staff would all prefer to handle this under one umbrella of an agreement, and that way we've got everyone who's involved responsible
Okay.
at that point.
All right, first we need a motion to grant the waiver.
I'll do a
Recommend.
motion.
Okay,
I'm sorry, did you also have some comments, Mary?
No, I'm
Oh,
fine.
okay.
All my
Okay.
questions have been answered. So I will do a motion for the waiver,
okay.
to waive this, and also a motion, a
Second?
second motion.
Seconded by Blanca Cobo, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
Then I
This-
also motion to approve.
The two grants,
The two grants is one, or
Two
how
grants
staff
is
has
one.
recommended. It's fine.
okay. Okay, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right, thank you all very much.
Let me also say that I had to go to your restaurant regularly, and I've seen all the improvements, and they are great. And the food is, well, it was always good, but it's nice to eat off a real plate now. So,
We had to buy all those plates.
I know, I'm sure you did.
But that wasn't in the,
But no,
that wasn't part of the 100,000.
It's better, and it's,
Thank you
Thank
for
you.
noticing.
Thank
it's
you.
great, yeah.
Oh,
it's
no,
quite a
everybody
bit
noticed
better.
the plates and silverware.
And I just also want to comment for the record, I know there was an issue because there was a prior grant on the property that was never dispersed. And I just want to acknowledge that Ms. Hanson's attorney had contacted me. We did record the termination of the memorandum of that grant agreement that was done back in 2011. So I want to let you know that we hadn't spoken, but I wanted to let you know.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Good night, folks.
Good night.
Good night.
Okay, moving on to item 4.
Okay, we have a beautification grant request from Mary's Pound Pet Shop. Miss Mary Tangeray is here. She's located at 13295 West Dixie Highway. She's requesting $15,000, just the $15,000 beautification grant, so she can do a facade. The last page shows the picture of the actual building. It's so funny because I drive in front of it all the time, and it's when I met her that I realized that she actually sells pet supplies, and then I ended up buying some rugs for my dogs and so on and so forth. So anyway, she would like to remove all the wood bars that you see around the building, clean it up, give it a nice paint job, fix all the broken and rotted wood, and give herself a facelift. Of course, the lowest bid that she found so far was the bar roofing and consulting for $16,900, and she understands that the grant is, it doesn't exceed the $15,000 mark.
Doesn't exceed, I'm sorry, the
It
what?
does not exceed, the beautification grant is for $15,000, so she
Right.
understands that anything above the $15,000 will be on her responsibility.
There's no 50% matching
No,
requirement.
it's just
on the
100,
beautification
that's why.
grant.
Right.
Give the full 15,000.
Right.
So, she's here in case you have any questions, and I'm pretty sure, like, since we're talking about West Dixie needing a facelift, and, I'm sorry?
There's a picture on
The
it?
picture of the existing,
Yeah, here's a picture right
Closer
here.
to the back of the building.
agenda item 4, the last page is the picture of the existing building.
Okay, does anybody have
I know
any?
the building.
Okay. Do you have any questions for the applicant?
Great, yeah.
Well, the
My-
only question I have is that this is, if you come down Dixie Highway, where this is is one of the first places you see on West Dixie Highway coming south. And we applaud you for, certainly it needs beautification, there's no doubt about that.
definitely.
No doubt about that. I just wish that there was something more we could do there to help you.
I do too, because it
You
needs
know.
more.
Yeah, and as you know, and really, when you come down West Dixie, that just sticks right out on West Dixie Highway. Oh, I'm sorry, you were gonna say something?
They
I
used
was-
to be a bar, it was called the King and
The
I.
number one, the number one lounge. I still have the floor that says the number one lounge on it.
No,
We'll
still
reach
smell
out,
the beer.
and we'll work with her, and check see if she qualifies for some Y Green money as well.
Yeah, get some wide
and see
green
if we
money
could-
for,
yeah.
things of that sort, because, I mean, that just is such a key piece.
I would like to see, but even more, you're right, I would like to see more improvement.
Yeah, yeah.
Anything you can do, would appreciate it, because 27 years being in that business,
Been in
and I
27
feel
years.
that it needs to stay in North Miami, because I've been here since 1976, and I've always kept my business here, and I love North Miami, so I want to really
Well,
stay here.
The director said he's gonna reach out to you, see if we can't do some other things for you.
I appreciate anything you can do
Okay.
for me.
Because that is it needs a lot of help, and it's a vital piece on West Dixie, and I'm so glad, by the way, you guys are really doing stuff on West Dixie, because it really, really needs it.
So I move for approval.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, any further questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you, man.
Thank you.
Um,
Okay, thank you.
Next on our agenda is a report from our attorney in reference to some public records requests.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In actuality, it was not originally a public records request, but back in August, and you'll see in your packet, hopefully you have it, there's a letter from the Miami-Dade County Office of the Inspector General, directed to the Executive Director requesting, a lot of information from the CRA, including standards, policies, and procedures, table of organization, job descriptions, resumes and compensation of the employees, minutes of all board meetings for the last 5 years, audited financial statements for the last 5 years. Some of these things I think they already have downtown in the county. And I know you all, we all feel we're special here, but you weren't special. This went out to every CRA in Dade County. So everyone got it. North Miami Beach got it, where I also represent them. This is something that, in Broward County started, a couple of years ago. The Inspector General there started sending out these requests. From our legal perspective, first of all, a CRA is an agency of the state. It's a creature of statute. It is not a municipality or a separate entity under state statute. So our position is that the Office of the Inspector General does not have jurisdiction over this agency. So whatever they need these records for, let's say they wanted to open up an investigation, they wanted to come in and interview the employees, interview committee members, interview board members, our position is you don't have that authority. You can always submit to jurisdiction, as we all know, but no one wants to just waive jurisdiction. So what we did was, and you'll see my letter back to the Inspector General's office, basically saying we got the letter, we respectfully disagree that you have authority over this CRA. But of course, we're a public agency. These are public records. We're happy to give you the documents on the basis that this was a public records request. So we did do that, and your staff did submit the documents. What they want them for, we don't know. I mean, they're an Inspector General. I've been involved in a number of Inspector General investigations and other CRAs was brought in after the fact where things had happened. And, that's all, I'd rather not, get into detail on the record, but, I just want to let you know that we responded. We're here to protect this agency's interests and make sure that, there's not unnecessary waivers of jurisdiction and investigations into things that need not occur. So we'll keep you posted if there's anything that comes out of that, but, our understanding is all the CRAs complied, and they probably got a number of boxes downtown, and they'll go through them, they'll let us know if there's any issues, I'm sure.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
is there any old business to come before us? Any new business? Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Go ahead,
Mr.
Roger.
Chair, two things. One, in item 7 is public comment. We need to add, we've added on the agenda, we need to always, even if, we always have to ask if there's any comments from the public. I know, even to
Say
say,
it on the record,
there
but they
being
don't know anybody's
no
out there.
public,
Any public comment?
if there being no public,
There
there's
being
no
no
public
public
in
present.
We have to do that
Okay.
before we didn't do that. And then most importantly, I just want to make sure that we know, that everybody remembers, and bring friends, colleagues, and neighbors, the October 12th CRA Plan Update Workshop at Gwyn Margolis Center at 6 o'clock. It is
Okay.
very important that you are on time. No,
Okay.
that you attend.
All right, thank you very much.
Very, very good.
Do I hear a
Bring your own-
motion to adjourn?
Second.
Yes.
Second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Thank you all for coming.
I think the
Mr. Sorry,
projects
the
are really
member
good.
says
Yeah.
there should be
Yeah, I
food.
think so too.
He
It's
said
been a
that.
pleasure, Larry.